Well, hello, friends. Glad you could join us. Welcome to another edition of the JAG Thursday Championship here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore for what is round number 7 of this 11-round campaign. Only 4 rounds left after today, and I tell you what, this Singapore track, which has found so many improvements, as if you weren't aware already, this track has definitely turned into absolutely, I would say, racer's paradise. The long straights, the challenging corners, the overtaking opportunities aplenty, and of course, always the possibility of rain. Hotspot on the call with you once again here. I'll admit I'm feeling slightly under the weather. I'm sniffling more than a sad child. But we are here, nonetheless, at a track that lives in infamy in some cases, especially if your name is George Russell by any chance. The first night race, I believe, ever held in Formula One history happened here, 2011? No, it's earlier than that. This is probably 2007, I would say. That was Crashgate as well, wasn't it? Either way, I don't know history. That's all right. We've got a halfway decent amount of drivers here on the grid tonight, and which of those are battling for driver and constructors championships, we'll tell you right now as we get into, first, the driver championships. After last time out, we had the full-length distance Grand Prix at Mexico, which was quite the experience, but a good one nonetheless, don't you worry. It is RLS Marcus atop the table in his Ferrari, JJ Trim in second, Lord Alum third, Ali fourth, Lil Jim fifth, it's Mikey G sixth, Adonis seventh, Justerini eighth, Jag Greg ninth, and Iris Dubs round out the top 10. Only 100 points separating those top 10 drivers, 53 of which separate both Marcus, JJ Trim, and Lord Alum. Matter of fact, they are tied at that 117-point mark range. And then next up, we'll have our constructor standings. After it's all said and done, we do have Ferrari atop the table at 192 points, McLaren in second at 168, Mercedes one singular point behind them at 167. Sorry, I apologize, I'm just trying to find which driver's coming out on here. Mercedes 167, Alpine 153, Sauber 147, Williams 139, Red Bull 133, 93 for the Aston Martins, Haas's at 84, and the V-Carbs at 54. But once again here, Singapore should be a very fun track this. As you can see, it's going to be DWCJ, our first driver, out on the timed lap here. Has chosen the medium tires. This track, very, very well known for its ability to just cut through tires, especially those of the softer compounds. We're going to see probably the soft tires not even be used in today's Grand Prix. I tell you what, unless that rain is going to come within the first 10 laps of the Grand Prix, or vice versa, we're really not going to see them be used. It's going to be a very easy medium-hard. Vice versa, could do 2 stops if you're really inclined. But 17 drivers on the grid for what should be a fantastic race this. And again, on one of the more difficult circuits, as you can see, DWCJ smacked the wall there even before getting onto the bridge, going through turn 11. That was formerly the Singapore Sling chicane there, which is since no longer with us. People really didn't like that, and neither did the drivers. Spider has backed it into the wall here. Well, I say backed it, he's more or less drove it into the wall. It looks as if DWCJ will still be our first timed attempt. I'm just wondering if he did pick up damage with that contact that he had not long ago. We'll go along with him. I think it's actually kind of a shame they took out that section of track, as much as it's probably better for racing now. That going past and under the stadium stands there was actually pretty cool, I thought. Down the pit straight anyways for DWCJ, up into the left-hander of turn 1. It's a very tight and tricky first couple of corners. This is turn 2, and then into turn 3. If you try to go side by side through turn 2, somebody's going off track and it's not ending well. Exiting turn 4, next to the right-hander of turn number 5, DRS will be activated after this right here. Typically, sometimes you're going to see drivers try to go out as wide as they can to the wall. That's not the case for DWCJ. Again, these are probably just reconnaissance laps for him, considering he's on the medium tires. Into the braking zone at turn 7. This next one at turn 8. This one does get quite cramped as well when you try to go side by side through there on the opening lap. Not fun. Turn number 9 now, pretty straightforward left-handed corner. Now turn 10, this is where it gets interesting. See that orange barrier right there at the end of it? You can kind of just see, if you try to cut that as much as you can shave off a couple of tenths, but it does get risky. So we don't see drivers do that as much as they usually do, as they used to. Over the bridge, got to be careful. Not a lot of grip through there. Always see drivers having wheel spin issues through that section of the track. DRS activated as they exit turn 13. And make their way up towards turn 14. Another tricky right-handed corner, this one as well. Not a lot of runoff room. You see the white lines there. That doesn't really mean much in the sense of not getting the wall. We will see drivers do that quite a lot. Down the back straight now, heading in towards turn 16 and 17 now. Formerly a 23-corner track. This now shortened to just 19 Now, speaking of which, going through turns 18 and 19, where Lance Stroll had his huge accident, I believe it was last season. It's a 129.342 for DWCJ, but Marcus has gone 127.877. That is a fantastic lap then from the Ferrari, who, as you can see, on those soft tires. Lord Allen is not all that far behind, about 0.2 of a second, pretty good for him. We've got the pair of both the Aston Martins at the moment. Spider's invalidated his attempt. Justarini's making his way through turns 18 and 19 now. Human Tech, I believe, is behind them also on a timed lap here. Across the line for Justarini's gone fourth. Human Tech up next in his Sauber. And it will be into the pit lane, actually, for that Sauber in question. Red Bull along the coming across the line now. It was C. Rees. He's beginning a timed lap. We've got the Haas of Jag Greg, I believe, finishing his first timed attempt. Where does this put him? Up to third, 128.145. Good lap to start. We do have, I believe, Iris Dubs coming around the final corner now. He's up to fifth, 128.282. Tell you what, very competitive top five for the time being. Only 0.4 of a second separate them. Next up, we do have the Mercedes of Adonis going through turns 18 and 19 now, and across the line will go pole, 127.339. That's a great time there from the Mercedes of Adonis. Meanwhile, the V-Carb of Parker, I believe, is just gone seventh, second and a half off the pace. We've got one of the Williams duos up next. It is going to be that Lil Jim beginning one. It is Ali on track as well, but he's into the pit lane. Next up, round behind them is going to be Doug. Actually, not Doug. It's going to be that of RLS Marcus. Doug is on a flying lap, though, and he's got clear track ahead of him, except for that Red Bull, which he could almost pick up a toe from. He's a bit far away now, but that's going to kind of be in the back of his mind, is that if the Red Bull, whoever it is ahead of him, does get slightly out of sorts, he can try to follow in behind and kind of pull him down this backstretch here. Still going to be too far away. And this lap does not look all too promising from Doug for the time being. I don't believe this one's going to be very competitive. And not into the pit lane, so he's going to see out its conclusion here, but I'm assuming it's going to be that 11th spot. And there it is, 129.940. We did just briefly have a yellow flag. It was something going on with the McLaren. Well, it also could have been Human Tech, I think, coming out of the pit lane, trying to stay out of the way of Lord Allam here. Allam appears to be on a hot lap for the time being. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I'd say he's going for it here. 7.5 of a second off the pace for the time being. Again, clear track ahead of him. Let's see if he tries to cut turn 10 here. A little bit. A little hesitant trying to go in there. If you race this track in F2 cars, you're going to take that same line every single time. You're going to go straight across that curve on the inside. And you may just crash doing it. Not fun, but it is risky. Exiting turn 13 and going up towards turn 14 now. We do have the Ferrari round next of RLS Marcus, who seems to have gone purple sector 2. We'll check back with Lord Allam in just a minute. I'm quite interested to see where Marcus's time ends up here, if he does decide to complete this lap. A little bit squirrely coming out of 17. Will stay out on track, 10 minutes 50 remaining. And across the line for Marcus goes second, 127.437, behind by just under a tenth. Lord Allam around the line next, into the line for the McLaren. Improves by 1/4 of a second, but not enough to get out of fourth. Still half a second behind. Aston Martin up next. It was Justarini's gone eighth. His companion of Spider coming around the line now. What does he have? And this is going to be P13 for Spider, 130. Ferrari have dug into the pit lane. We've got a trio of drivers still yet to put together a time. Mikey, GTI, Human Tech, and Shabs. Human Tech's going to be our next round the line here, heading towards turn 1. Good opening couple of corners from the Sauber so far. Not really close enough ahead to the Red Bull to really kind of get in his way, or vice versa. It's kind of the thing on this track. You got to worry about traffic a little bit more because it's so kind of enclosed in, being that it's a street circuit. You do have to wonder and look out for cars that may be off the racing line, or, you know, if it's a blind corner like we do have here, and you're on a timed lap, you got to kind of be wary about that sort of thing. It's not something that you want to think about as a driver, but you have to. I think of a track like Saudi Arabia as well. The Jeddah Corniche circuit has a couple of those spots as well, where you just have to be extra careful. Over the bridge for Human Tech, well, he's taking that quite well. Usually you'll see drivers kind of have a little bit of a slippy going through going through turn 12 and over the bridge into turn 13. That's actually not the case. He's taking it very well. Exits the corner, turn 14. Going down the backstretch now. Again, still just the Red Bull ahead of him, but not really in his way. Mikey GTI making his way through Sector 1 now. Human Tech goes a lot over the curb through 16. Through 17 doesn't really make much of it. Through turn 18 and 19 now. A little bit over the curb there. No signs of slippage. And only 14th for Human Tech. It's a shame. That looked actually a much cleaner lap than I thought it was. Than the timing would suggest. I think maybe just precautionary in getting a time on the board here, potentially in the early minutes. That is something you do typically see drivers do. But who's going to be giving it all here is that of Adonis in the Mercedes, currently a 10th ahead of RLS Marcus, and now beginning a time to temp down into turn number 1. It's that left-handed corner, immediately switch to the right, and then back to the left through turn 3. And you got to be careful at turn 3. It does typically provoke some wheel spin then. Not always, but sometimes. A lot over the curb going through turn 5. He's actually... That's a line we have really not seen going through turn 5. I mean, do we have another driver coming through here that maybe that might be on a hot lap where maybe we can have a look at that? I think Lil Jim. No, it's not going to be him. He's finished up. But maybe one of the Red Bulls. Maybe Mikey GTI. So there we go. So he's taken that, and he's had to scrub some speed off at the corner, that apex of the corner. Whereas Adonis has actually gone wide on entry, as pretty much as wide as he could, and tried to more round the corner off. You'll see that sort of thing at like Austria, where you have to take a lot of the curb on the outside of the corner and then try to round your way across, one of the tight corners. That's interesting. We have yet to really see that through turn 5. I've certainly never seen a line through that corner be taken like that. 10th and a half quicker through Sector 2, purple Sector 2 as well, for the Mercedes in question. Making his way down the backstretch now. Again, pretty clear track ahead of him. Not going to have any worries here. Just got to get over these final couple of curbs and corners correctly, and he will have himself, yet again, another time that puts him provisional pole. 7 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. And across the line for Adonis, 1:27.089. That will improve him by a good little bit of a margin there, probably about 2 or 3 tenths to be exact. Well, I say probably, and then... never mind. Adonis, 1:27.089. That's a great lap. Jag Greg has just concluded that one. 5 1,000ths clear of RLS Marcus. Matter of fact, puts himself in that second spot. We've got the Red Bull of Mikey GTI coming around now. He's just gone 7th. Gets himself roughly 2 100ths clear of Ali, who Ali is about 6 100ths clear of Iris Stubbs. I tell you what, very close again to the midfield here. We have another driver on a hot lap coming here shortly. Ira Stubbs, who I believe has just completed one. We've got the Ferrari of Marcus. So we'll go along with Marcus here because I'm really interested. I want to see if he takes that same line through turn 5 that I'm talking about. You'll kind of see what I mean when we get up to it. This is the driver currently residing in 3rd. 6 minutes remain. Tell you what, absolutely sliding it across turns 1 and 2. Somehow he didn't invalidate now. This is what Adonis did here. He went all the way over to the wall as much as he could. And Marcus is going to kind of do that too, but he's taking the corner a lot more, sharp to the inside there, whereas Adonis didn't really make much of the curb on the inside of that corner. It's interesting. I do enjoy it when we see some, differentials in the lines being taken, although for Marcus, that's not the line that Race Control wanted. He's invalidated his lap. And he was about a 10th and a half up through Sector 2 as well, Sector 1. That is unfortunate for Marcus. He's still got 5.5 minutes remaining, but that's not leaving him a lot of time. As a matter of fact, all but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 drivers currently in the pit lane. Bit of a slide there for Marcus. Oh, he kept it together only just. These walls very unforgiving here. Ira Stubbs, we can assume, into the pit lane here shortly. Lord Allen, I'd have to say as well, although has saved up his battery, so maybe is this a cool-down lap, or did he invalidate his previous one? Lord Allen, maybe will he be on a time lap here shortly? Justerini coming out. Parker as well. Shabs and Human Tech. Ira Stubbs into the pit lane. Lord Allen making his way through Sector 3 now. I think maybe will they decide to come in and fit another set of the soft tires. See, I don't think drivers are going to be too afraid to use up the soft tires in this session because, quite honestly, you're not going to use them in the race here. You're just not. They eat up so quickly. You're only going to go maybe 5 laps on a set of soft tires here, and then still, competitively, maybe 2. Safely, 5. Getting towards the business end of the tire life, you're about that 8 range, and you're really not going to want to push it much further than that. And if you do, I mean, God bless you, but it's just not going to end well. So just Arena and an outlap, Parker as well, Shabs, Doug, and Human Tech. Everybody outside that 10th spot, or sorry, inside the top 10, Ali on upwards, currently in the pit lane, 4 minutes to go. And we are probably going to start seeing the parade of drivers make their way back out on track. This is not a really track where you want to leave it late. You got to get a good lap in, and that's exactly what Adonis has done. I do think Greg and Marcus may have more left that they haven't shown. Definitely Marcus, because he did invalidate that attempt going through Sector 2. Jag Greg, we really don't know. We haven't really been along with Jag Greg, but he has gone second, and, well, when he comes back out on track, we're absolutely going to look for him. Justerini appears to be starting one here. Yes, he is. DRS activated, heading down the pit straight. 3 DRS sections here. Although I could have swore initially it was in the plans to make that 14 to 16 length there part of DRS. Justerini, however, has invalidated this attempt. That could very well be his final attempt of the session because we've only got 3 minutes and 10 seconds remaining. It's not looking too good for him. Next up around the line is the Ferrari of Doug. Behind him, we've also got Spider and I think Human Tech as well, who is actually on a flyer here. Although Shabs has retired from the session, that being, I believe, out on track. Let's see, where has he done this at? Yep. That looks pretty much on track to me. Oh, no, it's not. I think he's actually genuinely hit the wall somewhere along the line. That car was not looking too good in the middle of that little straight there between turns 8 and 9. Huh. Odd. So Adonis on a outlap now. Jag Greg still sits in the pit lane. Marcus going through Sector 2. Now there's the corner last time round in which he invalidated his lap. We've got the pair of the Willies on track. 4th and 5th so far. Doing pretty good there. Lord Alum 6th, DWCJ 7th, Mikey 8th, Ali 9th, and Justerini rounds out the top 10. Ali, who has invalidated this attempt, I believe it was, probably going to be coming into the pit lane here. Jag Greg still has yet to come back out on track, and I think maybe are we going to see him do it now? Yes, we do. 2 minutes remain. Although, the big question is Adonis, as he makes his way out of the final couple of corners. Down the pit straight, DRS activated, and his probably final timed attempt of the session happening now. Over the curb through turn 1 and then through turn 2. He's held it very well. One of the only drivers we've kind of seen not look like they're about to invalidate their lap going through 2. Let's see if he takes the wide line again. This is what I'm talking about here. Yes, he does. Oh, he's taking more of the curb inside that time. That was more reminiscent to what Marcus did. 90 seconds remain. Adonis has relatively clear track ahead of him immediately. Only quicker by 8/100ths of a second. He's got the pair of the Aston Martins coming up next, which could get in his way. Justerini, I believe, on a timed attempt. Spider ahead. Doesn't look to be on one here, but still, either way, Justerini moves. In through turn 10 now, formerly where the Singapore Sling chicane was, and that's exactly how I want to see those drivers take turn 10. He's gone for the gutsy way through it, and he's probably made up a good amount of time there. We'll see when he comes to the timing line here, about to enter turn 14. 55 seconds remain in the session now. What? 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 What has happened there? Adonis has left the session? Hang on, that's not right. What's happened to Adonis? That, I don't think I've ever seen before, at least been on board with. That is very odd. Adonis was on his way into turn 14, and I knew something was wrong when we didn't get the Delta going through into the Sector 2 timing line there. He's left the session. 15 seconds remain, and Jag Greg is going to be probably one of our final drivers around the track. Although maybe do we have the pair of the Ferraris. Marcus may get there. He's got 5 seconds remaining. No, Marcus is not going to get there in time, although this is his final attempt. So we're out through turn 18 and 19, and across the line for Marcus, provisional pole, 127.050. Gets Adonis by 4/100ths of a second. Jag Greg making his way down towards turn 7. Next up around the line, we've got one of the Red Bulls. I believe it's going to be C. Rees. No, it's not going to be him. It's going to be Mikey. Parker has retired. That going on in through the bridge. The Aston Martin of Justerini. No, it's not going to be him, but Spider is going to be getting there quite shortly. I hope that he's not in the way. No, he's not. Actually, yes, he is. Quite a lot, to tell you the truth. Adonis will finish second. He's not in the session still. We got the Williams of Irish Stubbs gone 5th. Lil Jim Coming across the line now, Lil Jim up to 4th. It's not going to be a third-row lockout for the Willies, but it's pretty damn close. Lord Alum has gone 3rd within one something of another. I don't even know. That's a lot of numbers. Lord Alum within 5/100ths of a second, the top 3. What a group this is. As Jag Greg, I think, may still have an attempt here. Only a couple of drivers left. One of them is Spider, making his way to the final couple of corners now. DWCJ behind Jag Greg. But through the final couple of corners, still 5/100ths making up the front 2 rows of the grid. Jag Greg could even get closer than that. Going through turns 18 and 19, Jag Greg to the line, improves only by a 10th. And it will be RLS Marcus on pole, Adonis 2nd, Lord Alum 3rd, all within 5/100ths of a second. Greg 4th, Lil Jim 5th, 6th for DWCJ, 7th for Ira Stubbs, 8th for Mikey, 9th for Ali, 10th for Hellion, 11th is Justarini, 12th is Seat Rees, 13th is Parker, who crashed going over the bridge. Shabs in 14th, who crashed, I believe it was going through Sector 2. Doug in 15th, Humatech 16th, and Spider rounding out the grid P17. But it is RLS Marcus who will start on pole for the Singapore Grand Prix. And what a qualifying session that is. If that doesn't get you excited for this race, I don't know what will. Alright, so the formation lap underway now. At Singapore, Marcus starting on pole. Adonis's car still has not been rejoined here. Can I potentially invite him? I don't have him in my list, I'm afraid. I don't think I can add friends in the game, I'm afraid. That's so unfortunate. So, Marcus on pole, Adonis 2nd, Lord Alum 3rd, Jag Greg 4th, Lil Jim 5th, DWCJ 6th, Ira Stubbs 7th, Mikey 8th, 9th is Ali, and 10th is Hellion. Competitive top 10 here, as the times going through the qualifying session showed. As far as tire strategy is concerned, all of them have gone medium. Parker and Humatech, the only 2 have gone hard. Which tells me that we don't really expect rain on the way. If we did, we would see the soft tires being used, which we don't, so it won't. It will be, though, Marcus. Now, the question is, Marcus, now that he's got Adonis to his inside or his outside, whatever it may be, through turn 1, the question is going to be more or less, you know, will he have a sense of comfort going into this first corner? You know, where he doesn't need to really send it. He just needs to get away well enough to keep Lord Alum behind, and he has to hope that Lord Alum doesn't, like, get some sort of Godspeed sort of start here to this race. That's going to be the big question for Marcus. He will have the outside line going into the first corner, so it will be that of Jag Greg will be his immediate competitor to the inside. We're expecting Lord Alum to be kind of angled way across to the inside of the circuit to cover off Jag Greg in the first corner. That would be my guess as to what happens. And let's see. Does he choose to try to get in the way of Jag Greg here? You can see he's kind of holding towards the outside. There's his grid box there, and surprisingly not. He's actually just going to take a normal line into that first corner. If anything, he's kind of pointed to the outside. That much I didn't really expect to see. But that's the case. Of course, this game, naturally, as it always does, never wants to give me a good camera angle of the start, but that's okay. So, RLS Marcus lines up in the first grid box. He's got the ghost of Adonis to his inside. Lord Alum behind him, Greg behind him, 4 lights, and eventually 5. Here in Singapore for the 7th round of the season, and we're underway. And Lord Alum, I think, has actually gotten a pretty good start there. He may look to challenge Marcus into the first corner. He's not quite going to be close enough. But as they make their way through the first corner, it all seems as if they've gotten away okay behind them. Look at Ali trying it around the outside through turn 1. We get a slight yellow flag behind. I think it's C. Rees who may have gone around. Ali gets around Adonis naturally. Justarini next up, going to try it to the inside of Hellion. He's gotten around Shabs as well. 10th and a half here, Lil Jim. Does he potentially have a look at Jag Greg going in towards turn number 7? And no, not quite. So it looks as if everybody's made up the one spot with Adonis. He is tumbling down the order, as you can tell, with not having any sort of driver in the car. It is just the AI at this point. It's unfortunate, and that's the truth. As they make their way through Sector 2 now, Marcus leads through turn 10. Lord Alum behind by 0.4 of a second. He's not right close enough yet. to make something happen. If anything, Jag Greg is also now losing time to the top 2 ahead, but he may have the ability to stay at least within DRS range, as we now have another yellow flag. It's Human Tech who's gone round. He's lost a bit of his front wing there. Matter of fact, quite a lot. A little surprised that's not at least a virtual safety car, because he's lost both end plates there. 15 to 22, that's your stop from medium to hard. So yeah, about halfway through. Marcus leads them down the backstretch. Alum not close enough yet to make anything happen. Jag Greg looks as if he's not in a position to really challenge the top 2. As a matter of fact, that's a big slide going over the curb through 17. May very well be under pressure from Lil Jim now as the first lap of the Grand Prix completes. And there has been no movement amongst anybody in the top 10 genuinely for actual position. Adonis is the only one falling down the order here. So everybody you see in the top 10 from Justerini on up has not actually passed anybody. They've just gotten around the robot, as Adonis has retired. What? The robot has retired? Parker's picked up a 3 seconds for multiple warnings, but Adonis, well, maybe that's him actually joining and retiring. I don't really know what the case is there. But RLS Marcus leads the charge going down towards turn 10 now. Lord Alum a second behind, Jag Greg a second behind him. Lil Jim actually quite close to pressuring Jag Greg here as they make their way over the bridge. Lil Jim may have a look with DRS here. Of course, that braking zone into turn 14, not really the best place to make overtakes happen. So we'll have to wait and see. No, he's not going to get close this time. Matter of fact, you're really not going to see moves be made there of all places. You're going to see him more made into turn 7. Because that braking zone in turn 14 is not really pretty. There's not a lot of room on the outside to really make something happen. So you're not going to see much happen as far as that's concerned. Maybe into turn 1 if you're lucky. Through turns 18 and 19 now, Marcus will lead the charge still, 7/10 of a second ahead of Lord Alum, who does keep DRS, albeit only just. Jag Greg has actually fallen outside of DRS range on the top 2 now. Lil Jim, for the time being, unable to make a way around the Haas in question, although that may happen coming out of turn 5. Lord Alum, does he have a route? I think Marcus may have had a bit of a tank slapper going through turn 5 then. That could open the door for the McLaren here. And he is getting a little bit closer, not really. Lil Jim's going to go to the outside of Jag Greg here on the way into turn number 7, and is going to make that spot relatively easily, it seems. Greg has not had a good start to this Grand Prix. He's not really remained competitive at all. Next up is going to be Iris Stubbs. He's trying to look for a route around DWCJ, potentially, as they go through sector number 2. This is going down in towards turn number 10. Yet nothing really to speak of there, although Jag Greg's still quite close to Lil Jim here. He's going to have DRS on him going up towards turn 14. The question is now, Lord Alum, 4/10 of a second away. Does he have anything on RLS Marcus heading up into turn 14? He could very well be close here. Yeah, no, he's not going to have it this time. Neither is that of Jag Greg, who looked as if he probably could have made a move on Lil Jim if he really wanted it, but chose the safe route that time. So half a second still. Lord Alum and Marcus. I think if Lord Alum at least gets a good run out of turn 5, he could very well have a look for the lead this time. Although he's got to run the same kind of clean lines that Marcus is doing ahead. And for the time being, it looks like it will, but Iris Stubbs and DWCJ battling out through the first corner. DWCJ is going to get up the inside of the Williams in question. Good move then. 4/10 of a second as they make their way now through turn number 5, and I think Alum, at least visibly, looks as if he's going to gain some momentum here. DRS activated, but he's not using his battery. Marcus, for the time being, is going to keep this lead just on behalf of Lord Alum, not really sending it on him. But who did make a send was that of Jag Greg. He's gotten around Lil Jim as Iris Stubbs goes to the inside of DWCJ through that same corner. Very nicely done, and the Williams team back up to 4th and 5th. DWCJ could be under pressure from both Mikey and Ali here very shortly. These are kind of the closest battles on track, but it is Marcus leading the charge for the time being as we're on our 4th lap of this race. And the question is now, when does Lord Alum decide it's a good time, to make something happen on Marcus? Because I tell you what, they're running probably identical lap times at this point, but Alum is just not really looking for a move here. He saved up I will say, in fairness to him, he saved up quite a bit of his battery here. I think he's 70% for the both of them, actually. So yeah, hardly using it. I think Marcus is going to use it defensively here when they get DRS going into turn 8, turn 7. Of course, DRS activated for Alum here, but he's not really going to have an attempt into turn 1. As they snake their way through the rest of Sector 1 here, the question is now, does Marcus make a mistake going through 5 and allow the door to be swung wide open for Alum as they make their way down the straight here, heading into turn 7, and still not really. Lord Alum being very patient, complacent with being in the second place for now. See, even with DRS on this track, it's not a guarantee that you're going to be able to get around the driver. This track is so difficult, and it's really a case-by-case basis. As Iris Stubbs, I think, that car's making a lot of smoke, is what I was seeing. I thought maybe did he have a puncture? No, it just appears that they're locking up through the corners. Over the bridge they go, and it's getting very close now. Alum trying to peek at the outside. He'll switch back to the left side now. He'll get within the slipstream of Marcus here, the immediate slipstream as well. DRS activated, and the McLaren's going to try it into 14, and this contact made Marcus into the barrier, and, well, it doesn't appear that he's lost any of the front wing, but he's lost the lead, and he's down to 4th. Oh, and I hate to say it, but it really didn't need to be contact into that corner. I think Alum may be sent to the steward's room to be caned later. I apologize if you find that comment insensitive, but when you're a country that prides themselves on doing corporal punishment via Singapore cane, then I guess it's worth making fun of. Justerini and ARD Hellion now side by side making their way out of turn 16 and 17 here. Over the curve, and I tell you what, Hellion's going to switch back down to the inside. Hellion's going to have a really good run here. Still to the inside, and yeah, he's going to get that spot genuinely on pace as well. Very nice. Jag Greg, 3-second penalty for multiple warnings, our first victim of the day. Second, as Parker picked it up quite a while ago at this point. But still. And Jag Greg not closing in on Alum either. 2 seconds the gap. It's now Ali finding the right side in DWCJ. DW did not have DRS that time, and Ali will get the 7th spot relatively with ease. It's now up to the Williams team here. Lil Jim within 3.5 tenths of a second of Greg. Ira Stubbs kind of looking at this battle from the outside looking in. But still, if he's able to get within DRS range of his teammate, we're going to have a full-out fight for that 2nd spot. So exiting turn 13 now. DRS is activated for the Williams of Lil Jim. Not really using his battery. I think maybe did he see that incident between Alum and that of Marcus not long ago and has decided he's not going to try it in there unless he's really alongside him. Which, oh, by the way, speaking of being alongside, Doug and C. Reese side by side now, and it looks as if it will be Doug with DRS here, but C. Reese, look at the pace he's putting down. Doug's actually going to get him around the outside here after it's all said and done. C. Reese conceding the corner. But still, very close. Pit streak they go. Lil Jim, 3.5 tenths of a second behind. It's now Justerini. As just a moment ago, he was within a 10th on Hellion. Has since fallen back to 5.5 tenths of a second, so we'll check with him in a minute. DWCJ, 4 tenths back to Ali. But now Lil Jim, as they go through turn 5, DRS will be activated here for the Williams. Energy being used down the straight, heading through this as well, technically turn 6, and up into turn 7. Lil Jim to the inside. If he outbreaks him here, he'll get the spot. He does, but he's gonna... Whoa, he's not gonna keep it on track. Jag Greg's gonna get back around the left side, but Lil Jim still has the inside. And Lil Jim, after it's all said and done, will end up getting that position. He was really late on the brakes going into turn 7. The car pushed wide. Maybe was there potentially contact from Jag Greg behind? It didn't look as if there was. He slid up the corner, Jag Greg on the outside. That allowed Lil Jim to keep the inside line going through turn 8 and has kept the 2nd spot. And oh, by the way, that's allowed his teammate of Iris Stubbs into the battle. Down the straight now, heading in towards turn 14. DRS activated here, not going to have any moves this time, but as they go down the back straight, potentially do we see one through 16 and 17? I'd be a little surprised. There's no DRS activated here, although maybe there should be. The straight is definitely long enough, and I would say critical enough to add DRS, and we do have more tracks having 4 DRS zones nowadays, so I don't see what the problem would be. DRS will be activated going down the pit straight. Iris Stubbs 4.5 tenths of a second behind Jag Greg, and I tell you what, already just then we've seen 2 additional probably warnings for Jag Greg. He's gone wide going through both turn 18 and 19. So maybe is he now sitting on a potentially 6 seconds of penalty? Irish Dub's bit of a slide there. He collects it, but still no mind. Jag Greg within 0.4 of a second on Lil Jim as they make their way into turn 5. Marcus is trying to get himself back in this battle as well. I'm wondering if there is any damage on Marcus's car that's not visible to us. Jag Greg has gotten around Lil Jim, back up to the 2nd spot. The pair of the Willies, 3rd and 4th for the time being, 0.4 of a second away from each other here. RLS Marcus trying to peek his head into this battle as well. And again, as I was mentioning, just wondering if there is any damage on his car. Parker into the pit lane for it is one of our first stops of the day. Spider to the back end of his teammate Justerini here, who looks to be battling the Haas of Hellion. 2 drivers have stopped, Series and Parker, both, I'm assuming... Well, this is interesting. Series has gone to the softs. Huh. Didn't expect that. Into turn 14 they go. I don't suppose Irish Dubs is going to send it on his teammate here. Although if Lil Jim gets him wildly out of shape, we're going to see that happen. But all the while, Lord Alum has gotten himself to a 2.5 second advantage here over those following behind. Jag Greg has had a lot of work to do here, especially with the Willies on his hands, as he's now having to fend off both of them. Also, we have Doug L. trying to battle Shabs here for that 12th spot. The pair of the Aston Martins battling as well, although Justerini trying to make a move on Hellion, although it doesn't look like it's going to be happening for the time being. And Lord Alum has picked up a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. And I don't know where he would have picked that up going through turn 5. I think he's done it over the apex of the corner. He's taken too much to the inside, and that's the 3-second penalty for our race leader. For the time being, of course, we still got a hell of a lot of laps to go, but he wouldn't lose too many positions. He would lose at least 2, I believe, maybe 3. Down to 4th would be my guess, considering the Willies and Jag Greg within about a half a second of each other for the time being. Question is now, is Lil Jim going to try to play it kind of conservatively and stay behind Jag Greg? That would kind of be my guess. You know, he's not really using the battery here, but who is Irish Dubs? Maybe is he going to have a look for his teammate here? No. And let me tell you something, I might be calling on the Williams team here to invert their drivers, and I think that's going to happen now. Irish Dubs getting around the inside of his teammate. Lil Jim saw that Irish Dubs was quicker, at least with the aid of DRS, and Irish Dubs has moved up to 3rd. Bit of team sportsmanship going on here between the Willies. Oh, and that's a slide for Greg. He's done it on his own, going over the curb through turns 18 and 19. And all for naught for the Williams team, who inverted positions, thinking one of them was quicker. Well, it doesn't matter now. They're up to 2nd and 3rd. And Greg, I'm afraid, that is just purely an error on his part. He's done it all on his own. Bit of an odd one as well. I mean, we saw him those past couple of laps kind of go wide through turns 18 and 19. We thought maybe he was on, you know, another warning. Maybe was he just not confident going through that corner and he spun the car around. It looks to me what's happened. The grid's starting to get slightly spread out here, but we do have Justerini trying to find the back end of ARD Hellion here, as well as DWCJ within a couple of tenths of Jag Greg. Going through turn 7 now, not going to happen. DWCJ, though, also 6 tenths back to Greg. Thinking maybe do we see a similar thing with the Aston Martins here? Do we see them, you know, battle? Are they free to race, or does Spider believe he's faster than Justerini? I don't know. What we may see is Spider get around Justerini, get around Hellion, back up the Haas and make sure his teammate gets around him, and then they'll swap positions with the penalty applied. Could happen. Don't really think it's going to, but it's certainly a possibility. So yeah, we're about a third of the way through this Grand Prix. Justerini now up to 3 seconds in penalty, so the pair of the Astons both on a 3 for time limits, or track limits. And again, this is kind of a track where we do see penalties come into play. Which I know seeing penalties decide races is not always the best way about things, but it does kind of give us a little bit of drama towards the end of the Grand Prix, I'll admit. We saw quite a lot of that last time out in Mexico. think only C. Rees. Was it? No, it was Mikey. Mikey was the only driver on the grid to have not picked up a penalty that whole race. 8 drivers out of the 16 remaining have picked up penalties. It's officially half a grid have found penalties here. So Justerini trying quite hard to find a route around Hellion. He's gone heavy over the curb on the inside of turn 8. I think Justerini might seriously be trying to look for a way around Hellion. He's not comfortable with staying in behind the Haas this long, as it looks as if DWCJ has fallen off the back of Jag Greg. That's a 4-second gap. Jag Greg, mind you, about to be in a battle with Ali. I don't think it's going to happen this time as they go up towards turn 14, but still, he's right knocking on the door of the Sauber. Question is now, do we see Justerini kind of get to the back of Hellion, or do we see Spider make his way around? Parker has done it twice now, up to 6 seconds in penalty for him. First driver of the day to be booked twice, as we've got, I believe, is that Marcus into the pit lane? Yes, it is. What appears to be a strategical stop coming up here for the Ferrari, has pulled off somewhat of an undercut here. Matter of fact, that's exactly what it is. No front wing being changed, purely strategical. Undercut from medium to hards. And there you go. Matter of fact, the Haas of Jag Greg has actually followed him in. Hard tires for him as well, and I think Greg, having found that penalty, is actually doing kind of a smart thing here, following in behind Marcus, being on the same strategy as him, because if Marcus is able to work his way through the grid, Jag Greg can probably do the same. As we do have a yellow flag going through Sector 2. Parker has hit the wall somewhere along the line, has lost his end plate on the left front side of his V-carb. Justerini has in fact gotten around Hellion going through turn 7. It looked a bit of a tough move, actually. It didn't look like it was very easy for Justerini. He's gotten the spot. Maybe now does he back up Hellion and get Spider involved in this battle. Of course, Hellion does not have penalty, whereas the two Aston Martins around him do. So maybe is that part of Justerini's game, kind of get in the way. Oh, and Hellion's gone way across the curve on the inside through 13, and he's smacked the wall on the outside. And he is surely missing some front wing, I would say. And yes, he is. He's missing the end plate on the right front side. Hellion, massive error from him. Lord Allam now into the pit lane for the McLaren, where obviously it's going to be a medium to hard here, as well as Little Jim has made his way in. Mikey GTI gets promoted up to the second spot, chooses to go for the overcut, as well as Iris Dubs, I think, as well. So yeah, hard tires going on for the Willie. Oh, what's this? Well, hang on just a minute here. This is something I've never seen before. This is the Alpine, not the Alpine, that was the V-carb of Parker, who retired in the pit lane, has held up the rest of the grid here. Allam, Marcus, it was Allam, Lil Jim, Ali, and I think it's C. Rees as well. None of them was able to actually exit the pit lane correctly because the V-carb was just parked. And now it's side by side between Greg and Allam exiting the corner. Side by side now going through turn 5. Greg's tires are absolutely going to be warm here. Allam struggling just slightly. DRS, though, activated for the McLaren. I've never seen that before. To the outside now, looking for turn number 7. Allam is trying to send it round on Jag Greg here. Both of these drivers on 3-second penalty. It's purely a battle for position, is side by side now into turn 8. Lil Jim watches on and hopes that a mistake is made, and Lord Allam does get the position. But I've never seen that before. Oh, Justerini. That's... Apparently we had a yellow flag there. I don't know why we did, but Spider's gotten around Justerini. Has Justerini hit a wall? It doesn't appear visibly that he has. I don't know. Phantom yellow flag going through Sector 2. Dug within 0.2 of a second on Hellion here. Down the backstretch, Iris Dubs, who went for the overcut here, is now found his way to the pit lane. Mikey GTI once again staying out. Unless has he already stopped? No, he hasn't. So hards for Iris Dub. He'll come out behind the pair of the Aston Martins. Justerini now up to 6 seconds in penalty, going wide out of turn 18 or 19, whichever one it was. Very close to halfway now. As Allam's gone wide going through turn 18, that may open the door for Jag Greg. I don't think he's going to have it now. Well, he's had a little bit of a look. I think really it's going to happen through turn 5, exiting the corner, that DRS section, as we're going to find out here just shortly. Although what I will say is that Allen has gotten away better going through the first couple of corners. If that's the case, Greg may not have the room to actually make that move happen. But what we do see ahead potentially is Marcus and Iris Stubbs side by side, and Marcus has gone around the outside of the Williams here and has made the spot. Jag Greg was about a tenth of a second short as Lord Allen 6 seconds of penalty now as he's gone wide exiting turn number 7. Shabs and C. Rees. C. Rees has hit the wall somewhere along the line. That's exiting turn number 5. Doesn't appear that he's had any wing damage, but he's certainly fallen back to 14th. Still Iris Stubbs versus Marcus here going through turn 13. I think Iris Stubbs may have a fair look at the Ferrari ahead. He's got plenty of battery. He's got fresh tires as well. Does he have a look? He's going to try the inside. No, maybe not. Now that's where Marcus went off earlier in the Grand Prix. Remember, he was side by side with Lord Allen, which sent Marcus into the barrier, Lord Allen to the lead. As Mikey GTI finally into the pit lane, he's going to be losing quite a bit of spots here, but he will have the freshest tires on the grid for the time being. Justarini's gone in as well as they go down the pit straight now. Look at this. The Ferrari of Doug trying the inside of Iris Stubbs through the first couple of corners, and they were well side by side there. And now Marcus to the inside of Hellion. He's going to try it around the outside going through 5. Hellion's going to try to block off the apex as much as he can. Contact! And Marcus goes round. No, not quite. He does get into Iris Stubbs, and now Doug side by side. It's 3 abreast going down the straight, heading towards turn 7, and Doug has to back out of it, and a little bit of contact there between Marcus and Iris Stubbs. Huge amounts of conundrums as C. Rees gets a tenner for speeding into the pit lane. That was almost catastrophic for all involved. Somehow they do stay for the time being. Spider leads the charge. Hellion 3rd, Marcus 4th. Look at Marcus to the inside. He's going to try it through turn 10, and that's exactly what he's done. He's gotten the spot as well, and Iris Stubbs round the left side of Hellion as well. So Hellion has lost 2 spots there going through turn 10 and has now lost it as well to Greg and Lil Jim. Does Hellion have damage? Yes, he does. He's missing the end plate on the right front side. So Hellion, something has happened with him, not very well, and yeah, not doing too good here. That's definitely the case. He's hit the wall. He's lost several positions, and this is an outright battle for position now. As Lil Jim, is he going to have a look at Doug going into the corner? No, not this time. But DRS is going to be activated, and I'm assuming, again, another conundrum, as Spider has to go, he has to cut turn 16 it was. He's into the pit lane, getting out of the way of the leaders. Lord Allen nearly getting into Iris Stubbs there. Iris is going to go a little bit wide. Marcus will take the lead of the Grand Prix. Allen to the inside, in through turn 1. Contact there. The Haas of Greg gets into the back of Iris through turn number 1. Still, for the time being, everything looks okay. But I think potentially, as Marcus has the lead, well, Allen's definitely hit the wall there coming out of turn 5. DRS activated for the McLaren now. Iris Stubbs, is he going to be able to get in a position to find his way around the McLaren? No, not quite. Nor is Greg, nor is Jim. What a fantastic battle this is amongst these drivers involved, as we're about halfway through the scheduled distance of 31 laps. So exiting turn 13 now. DRS activated for all involved behind Marcus. Lil Jim is the end of this train for the time being. He could find his way around Jag Greg. The battle is really, for the time being, between Iris Stubbs and Marcus, because Marcus has not got a penalty. Lord Allen is on 6 seconds. Jag Greg on 3 seconds. Lil Jim on nothing. So really, you have to think that this is going to be an outright battle for the win of this Grand Prix if Lord Allen and Jag Greg, first of all, don't pick up any more penalties, and the drivers around them do. Mikey GTI 2.5 seconds behind this. He's under pressure from Ali for the time being. Still the tail of the grid of this battle here is at a Lil Jim, exiting turn number 5. Maybe do we see Allen make a move into turn 7? He's, I think, got the pace to do it. I think he's going for it here. He's going to try the outside. Marcus is going to defend the line well. Oh, but Marcus is going to have a little bit of a slip there. Could that open the door through 8? Allen's going to try to the inside through 8 into the wall. And now Ira Stubbs around the outside. He's hit the wall as well. Spiders picked up a tenner for speeding in the pit lane. He's retired from the session, but contact now between Allen and Ira Stubbs. So much happening now. Oh, nearly getting into the wall of turn 10. Somehow, my goodness me, all of these cars still have their front wings attached because it is getting hairy. This may allow Mikey GTI into the picture. He's gained a second since this battle has taken place and is now still has to deal with Ali, but is in the picture at the very least. Wow, and I mean, what was almost carnage going through that section of the track. I tell you what, if ghosting was off, we would have looked at least 2 or 3 DNFs and a red flag to boot would have been my guess. But as they make their way in through turns 18 and 19 now, Marcus leads another lap of this Grand Prix. Allen 3.5 tenths behind. Ira Stubbs a little bit further back. He'll be under pressure from Greg. Well, not this time, probably going through out of turn 5. Just trying to survey the front wings of those involved because there was a lot of contact happening there, and I think they're all okay. Marcus leads the charge out of turn 5. Lord Allen follows in pursuit. DRS activated for the McLaren. Ira Stubbs following behind. He's not quite close enough yet. Jag Greg 0.3 of a second behind, not quite. Lil Jim has kind of fought his way back into relevancy here. You know, could be looking to get around Jag Greg shortly. Mikey GTI still has to battle Ali, but we could very well see the 6th and 7th runners end of the battle for the win here. Goodness me, would that be fun? Coming up on 10 laps to go in a couple of laps' time. Oh, that was, I think that Allen really smacked the wall there going over the bridge. Doesn't appear he's got any damage, but he was noticeably off somewhere else, not on the racing line, that's for sure. Through turn 14 they go. Still 0.2 of a second. Allen, could he have a look into turn 16? I don't think it's going to happen here, but who will have a look is Ali getting around Mikey GTI and Jag Greg under pressure from Lil Jim. It does appear Jag Greg's been able to hold off the charging Willie behind, but Ali has gotten around Mikey GTI, and I'm curious to see if Ali is going to be able to trim down this 2.5 second gap they have back to the top 5. Brilliant battles going on here under the night sky in Singapore. Through turn 5 now. Yet again, I'm wondering if Allen tries it here. Battery being used. He's absolutely going to be going for it this time. Marcus has defended well on previous occasions, and he's not going to defend the outside this time. Maybe some contact there. Definitely into the wall, both of them, and that could open the door. Ira Stubbs wanted the inside. He had to check up because they were switching lines ahead of him. That one, again, a lot of contact involved, and Marcus and Allen have, well, they've had some history so far today. You'd have to remember that from earlier in the Grand Prix, but no love lost between the two. That has now firmly opened the door for Ira Stubbs, who really could become a serious player in the battle for the lead, of course. Allen's got 6 seconds of penalty. Marcus doesn't have penalty. Jag Greg does. But you never know. These drivers could be like 1 or 2 warnings away from a 3-second penalty, so you have to assume that all of these drivers could very well be battling for the win genuinely instead of on penalty time. 0.3 of a second. Ira Stubbs not going to get close to Marcus this time. Nor is Lil Jim to Jag Greg. In that lap, Ali has shaved about 0.5 of a second off the back of Lil Jim. Although what I will say is this, that's actually could be helping Mikey because Mikey's car was not faring very well in clean air. Ali has since lost that gap that he's lost that time he's clawed back with a slight mistake going through the final couple of corners. Question is now, does Marcus send it on Allen? Mikey GTI, 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Oh, I think Ali has gone round. Well, he certainly caught the car. That one was very close. And now Marcus, does he have a look at the outside of Allen? No. He's going to try to maneuver his way down to the inside through turn 8. On the brakes, Allen into the wall. And they're still side by side as Ira Stubbs looks on and hopes that they further make mistakes and make contact as Ira Stubbs really in position. Jag Greg looking forward as well. Goodness me, this is absolute conundrums happening here and very well could lead to carnage as they follow 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 over the bridge. Alum has reclaimed the lead of the Grand Prix. Marcus in pursuit. Oh, Alum's gone round on his own. And Alum tumbles down the order, now down to 5th. He's regained his composure at the very least, keeps him within this battle. At least that's something to look forward to, because he's absolutely fallen down the order. And now Lil Jim side by side with Jag Greg, going down the backstretch, heading in towards turn 16 and 17. And oh, by the way, not even at 10 laps to go yet. Late on the brakes is Lil Jim. Contact with the Haas, saves the car, but Alum to the inside and makes that move happen. Up to 4th once again for Alum. And I think if Alum hadn't made that mistake, he could have very well still kept himself in position to win, because now it's Ira Stubbs and Marcus, 2 drivers without penalty, who are genuinely battling on track for the win of this Grand Prix. Oh, but once again, I think we are going to see a hefty amount of steward reports coming later on. A lot of good racing, a lot of hard racing, but if you're losing position because of hard racing, that's when penalties happen, and that's when the stewards get involved. Doug L, 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. That's his first of the day. 3 drivers remain on track without penalty. Those are the drivers currently residing in 1st and 2nd. Marcus, Ira Stubbs, and the other Williams of Lil Jim. So the pair of the Williams drivers could be on for a double podium here. The good news is, though, is that once we get everybody on 3 seconds of penalty, it does then, essentially erase all the penalty. Oh, lots of contact. Ira Stubbs to Marcus. To the inside wall was Ira Stubbs. He hit it definitely. Marcus had gone round. I'm wondering if there's damage for the Williams. It doesn't initially appear that there is, because he hit that wall a ton. To the inside, Jag Greg round the outside of 14 is going to get the 2nd spot. And Ira Stubbs, who really was sending it for a win of the Grand Prix, can't get it. At the line this time, 10 laps to go. Goodness me, what a battle, what a conclusion we are shaping up to have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and oh, by the way, 6 and 7 getting in on this now. And when you're at a track like this that really doesn't allow similar, different strategies, you're going to see, the drivers stay within position with each other like this. This is exactly what's happening. There's only one feasible tire strategy. It's medium to hard. They've all taken it around the same time. And that's exactly why we're seeing them so close like this. So through turn 7 that time, there was no drama to be had, although you never know, as Ira Stubbs still to the back end of Jag Greg. Lord Allen behind him, Lil Jim behind him, Mikey behind him, and Ali behind him. Oh, by the way, still 10 laps to go, and if the nerves weren't high enough already, it's going to get even worse, as I believe, Shabs has gone round. That could be something. He's lost a lot of position here. Thankfully, it doesn't appear that he's lost any front wing, and that car will remain on track, and the track will remain green. DRS, however, activated for Lord Allums, 10th and a half behind Ira Stubbs. Will they look to the outside? Dangerous positions here. No, he's going to switch back down to the right side, and still looking for it on Ira Stubbs, but can't get it. Lil Jim looks on in hopes that his teammate is able to hold off the charging McLaren behind. Lord Allum tries the outside, late on the brakes, trying to find the outside. Ira Stubbs, I don't really think, has afforded him a lot of room to the inside there, and Ira Stubbs keeps the position. That has allowed Lil Jim into the picture. Mikey GTI 4/10 of a second away. Could it be his opportunity coming up here? Ira Stubbs, however, a second behind Jag Greg, and the detection point coming up shortly here. He's safe by about a 10th, but I don't know if it's going to stay that way. Yes, it does. Ira Stubbs will at least have DRS for one more straight. 2/10 of a second between Lil Jim and that of Lord Allum. A little bit squirrely getting on the throttle for Lil Jim. As we go up into turn number 7, it doesn't appear that Marcus is going to be under pressure this time. Jag Greg 4/10 of a second behind. Ira Stubbs 7 behind him. Lord Allum 6 behind him, and Lil Jim may have a look at Allum here going through turn 8. 3/10 of a second. And we've seen moves been made into turn 8 so far today, which I didn't expect. Mikey GTI still 3.5 of a second as they make their way in through turn 10. Goodness me, what a race this has been. 6/10 of a second. Mikey getting ever so closer to really entering this battle. C. Rees up to 3 seconds now. Sorry, up to 13 seconds after the additional 3 he's just picked up. Once again, still only 3 drivers on the grid yet to pick up penalties. It's Marcus, it's Ira Stubbs, and it's Jim. And I think knowing that Jag Greg has a penalty here, is that going to prevent him from kind of being overly aggressive to the back end of Marcus? That would kind of be my guess. You know, when you have a penalty over a driver like this, there's two schools of thought. One of them is, you know, lay back, don't try to be in their way too much. You're going to lose the spot anyways with your penalty. Or you try to absolutely gun it and try to negate the penalty as much as you can. What decision is Jag Greg going to make? I think we're going to learn what that decision is through this section of DRS, and he's now on 6 seconds, and I think it's firmly out the window now. Yeah, he's not really pressuring him enough here to worry Marcus. Although Marcus got a little squirrely going over the curb at turn 7. Do we potentially see Iris Stubbs 2.5 tenths of a second again? He's got to get around Greg. That's the big thing, because if Iris can get around Greg, it'll be an outright battle for the lead for the win. Greg's got 6 seconds. He is, well, there's no other way to say it. He's in the way of this battle for the time being. So is Lord Allen, for that matter, as well. Lil Jim would like to get around him rather soon. So Jag Greg looks more interested in defending than attacking. So that would tell me that Iris Stubbs really needs to press to get around the Haas here. Down the back straight they go. And Iris Stubbs, this could be his opportunity. Greg defends well. Got 7 laps to go at the line this time. Iris Stubbs really trying to look for it around Jag Greg. He's not got any opening for the time being. It's going to have to happen with DRS. But something tells me that Iris Stubbs has not been enjoying this first sector, as we have a yellow flag going down the pit straight there. It's Ali. Ali has spun it on his own, and he is missing a bit of front wing. Could it be a virtual safety car? Game says no. Track stays green. And now with DRS activated here, 3 tenths of a second. Iris Stubbs really has to try to look for this one past Greg, and he still doesn't make that move happen. If that tells me one thing, he is starting to run out of time, and that he really needs to start getting aggressive. Too much so, he's into the wall. Thankfully, it doesn't appear that he's lost any bit of his front wing. Goodness me. Action's so good, it's preventing me from speaking correctly. 3 tenths of a second here, still closing in. Mikey GTI has remained relatively comfortable in the 6th spot. Doesn't need to worry about a lead behind. He's fallen quite far down the order, at least behind Mikey GTI after spinning on the pit straight like that. 11 seconds is the delta between the two. 6 laps to go at the line this time, 3 tenths of a second. Between Iris Stubbs and Jag Greg, Lil Jim trying to find somewhat of a route around Alum. Iris Stubbs, though, has to find something past Greg. Because, again, the problem is that Greg's got penalty, but is defending like he doesn't. For Iris Stubbs, that's going to be very aggravating. He could, I think, have enough pace to battle Marcus for the win here, but he's got to get around the Haas first. By the way, that Haas has saved up a lot of battery. You know, is he going to be, I would say, most likely using it defensively here, because he's not trying to overtake Marcus. DRS activated for Iris Stubbs, and, well, Greg was using it, I think, temporarily there. But again, the driver's playing a game of high-speed chess at the moment. Bit of a slide for Marcus, doesn't have anything there. I'm a little surprised Marcus hasn't picked up a penalty quite yet. Mostly because there's only 3 drivers who haven't done that. Doug, I think, getting around a lead there, going through the first corner. No, it's Elite pitting. So over the bridge they go now. Jag Greg behind Marcus by 4 tenths of a second, not really pressuring. Oh, I thought he was going to have a look that time. He quite didn't. Iris Stubbs, oh, a little bit of a slide there going through turn 13. Lord Alum could be in position here as well. Lil Jim, the question is why he hasn't attacked Alum yet. Iris Stubbs right up against the back of Jag Greg. That time we'll have 5 laps to go at the stripe. Down the back straight. Iris Stubbs is going to look for it now. He switches back to the inside. Greg defends well again. Again, the battle is for the win here between Iris Stubbs and Marcus. Greg is simply a wall in between the two. DRS activated again. It's 0.2 of a second. Irish Dubs has to send it. That's the only reasonable option. Oh, look at this. Greg is sending it in on Marcus. That we didn't expect. Marcus has gone temporarily off track. No penalty being picked up, but there was definitely contact between the two. Iris, you got to start considering the nuclear option here. You got to go for it. You got 5 laps left. Greg had one attempt there at Marcus, nearly, went into him. That did go into him, nearly sent him round. Irish Dubs, does he go late on the brakes? No, but he's actually kind of compromised his line there. Marcus has definitely gone wide off track that time. I would assume maybe, is there a penalty in the future for Marcus if he makes another track limits error? Lord Allen nearly had a look at Irish Dubs that time. Through turn 10 they go, 0.6 of a second between Greg and Marcus. Irish Dubs 4.5 between himself and Greg. 0.5 between himself and Alum. 0.3 between himself and Jim. And oh, by the way, Mikey GTI in this battle as well, although still has really yet to pressure either of the front runners. I think he knows he's going to stay on a penalty here, and he may pick up some positions. I think up to at least 4th would be my guess. 4 laps to go. And yet again, Irish Dubs not really in a position to get round Greg. Tensions flare already at points during this race. I wouldn't be surprised if we've got more of that yet to come here. As Mikey GTI getting around Lil Jim. No, it's side by side. Lil Jim has been able to hold off the Red Bull for the time being. Still side by side. Mikey GTI wanted it again, couldn't quite get it. Well, that was the first semblance of attack that we've seen from Mikey GTI so far. Still may have a look at Lil Jim here. Down the straight, heading in towards turn 7. It's not going to happen from Greg. Irish Dubs too far behind. And we're thinking Marcus is at least 1 error away from a track limits penalty. Mikey's gotten around Lil Jim, bit of contact there. Still a 1/10.5. Mikey up to 5th. 3 laps to go this time by. And I think desperation starting to come into play as we've got Ali entering the pit lane as retired. Oh, look at this. Alum nearly sent it on Irish Dubs. Yeah, not quite. Not for the time being. Once again, though, 3 laps to go this time by. You have to think desperation coming into play for Irish Dubs. He's really going to have to do something crazy to get a position here, because Greg is not going to give it to him. Despite Greg being on 6 seconds of penalty, he knows that everybody else is on penalty too. He's not in a position where he's going to, lay down and allow Irish Dubs to have this spot. Irish is going to have to send it past Greg, and even then he's only going to have 2 laps to get around Marcus. This is exactly what I was afraid of with Irish Dubs, is that he's been too patient. I know the opportunities have been slightly thin for the Williams here, but he has had opportunities, not quite capitalized. He'll have DRS again here. He's on a good spot on Jag Greg as well. DRS activated exiting turn 5, and there goes Irish Dubs looking for the inside. He'll have the right side, the outside going through turn 7. Oh, hopefully Greg doesn't push him wide here. Oh, they've actually stayed very respectful, the two, and Irish Dubs is going to have the inside through 8, and this time Iris is going to take all the inside, Greg into the wall, and just like that, Irish Dubs' opportunity to win the Grand Prix has all gone awry. I think Irish Dubs really has kind of outbraked himself going into turn 8. He's chosen to keep the inside line, which he's done. That was the right decision to make, but he's gone too late on the brakes, has forced Greg into the barrier, and they both fall back down to 5th and 6th. And if that's not handing this win on a silver platter to Marcus, I don't know what is, unless, oh, look at this. Rivals once, twice, maybe 3 times this race, as Alum and Marcus right up against each other, and I don't think Alum is going to be happy with seeing Marcus cross the line first. I think he wants to at least get the pride of being the first driver around the line. It's 2.5 of a second, and oh, by the way, Marcus could be on for a penalty, one or the other be on for a penalty as well for the incident they had earlier. That could be in the cards. You never know. 2 laps to go. And we don't think Marcus is too far off of a penalty as well. At this point, this could hand at least the win, second place to Lil Jim. I think it would end up being Mikey GTI in third. Fourth would be Iris Dubs. That would be my guess. DRS was actually activated then, I think, for Marcus, as he had DRS to the back marker ahead of him. So still about a lap and a half to go here. And Marcus, well, I think cruising into the sunset isn't the correct way to describe this win, but he's absolutely ahead of this grid. He doesn't have a penalty. Alum does. Alum's behind him. He's hit the wall just then as well. 0.6 of a second. And unless Marcus makes a huge error on his part, it's going to be all over. Through turn 14 for the penultimate time. This is where that collision was in the early goings between Marcus and Alum. Making their way through turns 16 and 17, 18 and 19 for the penultimate time. Final lap of the Grand Prix about to be underway, and there it is as Marcus crosses the line. And the question is now, does Lil Jim stay in position? I think he'll at least be able to maybe get the spot to Marcus, although is Lil Jim missing front wing? It almost seems as if he is, because he's now almost outside. Well, he is outside at 2 seconds. The gap is 3 between himself and Mikey. 0.3. Lord Alum, DRS activated, is using his battery. Iris Dubs picking up penalty. And now, look at this. Alum trying the outside of Marcus here. Contact being made. Oh, look at this. Hold it together here, friends. Do not do anything stupid on this final attempt around this Singapore circuit. That has allowed Mikey into the proceedings here, although I tell you what, Mikey has a pretty good gap back to Lil Jim. Marcus leads the charge. Contact from Alum. Through the bridge for the final time into turn 13. Alum, I think, is actually going to send it on Marcus here. He doesn't want to see the Ferrari cross the line first. Into turn 13. Oh, this, he's actually sent it here. Lord Alum's going to go cross the curb. Is going to pick up an additional 3-second penalty. Oh, tension's running high here. Mikey GTI to the inside, and he's going to get Lord Alum. Up to second place for Mikey. I think he still might lose it. Oh, Alum into the back of the Ferrari, but the back of the Red Bull. But Marcus has overcome it all here at Singapore and will win the Singapore Grand Prix. Mikey crosses the line second. Alum third. It will be Lil Jim taking the second spot. Mikey third. Iris Dubs up to fourth. Alum back to fifth. Greg sixth. And it'll be DWCJ in seventh. Justerini will cross the line in eighth. He'll be losing a couple of positions here with his penalty. And oh, by the way, be sure to join us next time out as well, where we head to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada, what I consider my home Grand Prix, mainly because the other 3 United States races are well a ways away. Anyways, yeah, be sure to join us for round number 8 of this season, which should be an absolutely fun one. It is RLS Marcus, your winner today, as we just wait for both Doug and Hellion to cross the line. But for Hotspot, it's been a pleasure joining you once again here in the JAG Thursday Championship, and we'll see you next time. What a race.